We're here today with Ilan Bracha, who's co-founder of Keller Williams NYC. Ilan, thank you for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
So Ilan, earlier this month we reported that Keller Williams NYC, in your Midtown office, you had something of a management shakeup. There were some layoffs and some agent defections. What is happening in the office?
So basically what we had in Midtown, it's a restructure. The market shift. We're looking at the numbers every month. We're closing the books every month. We're sharing our profit to our agents. We looked at the numbers. We look at the return on investment on our agents, our staff members, everyone. So that's what we did. And all of a sudden, there was kind of rumors flowing and things like that because we're doing some shakeup.
So when you talk about looking at the books and having to restructure, what kinds of changes did you think were necessary, and when did you start to put those into place?
It's an agent-centric company. So we owe to the agents to look at the numbers and put more eyeballs into the expenses and revenue. And that's what we did. And in order to keep profit, we have to do some changes. And one of them was to change the team leader, which is the manager in the Midtown office.
And so that would have been Leslie Charles?
Yep.
Okay. So the decision is made to replace the team leader. Why has it been so, it's been a few months since she left. What specifically were you looking for in a new leader? Why has it taken so long to fill the role?
That's a valid question. So we are very quick, in firing and slow in hiring. When we see something doesn't work, we will act immediately. And then we have a whole process we call it career visioning. So we're going through, step by step with our models. With Keller Williams, I didn't invent it, but we're following those system and models in order to hiring the right people into the place. We have even exclusive personality behavior that's called the KPA, and you can tell probably 80-90% of it about the job fit for this person. So we're following the model.
But what's the downside? I mean, what message does that send to agents? And do you think that agents left because they saw, maybe they liked Leslie, or maybe they just saw we don't have a team leader and they were nervous?
So I'm sure some people left because they're following the manager, and it's happened in any company. We disassociate a lot of agents recently because they didn't plug into the system. So I can give them the system and model, but I cannot convince them to use it. I cannot force them to use the system and model. And basically, if you have a business and we can show you how to grow it, but if you are not committing yourself to do it, it's not good for us to be in business. So that's what we did.
So how many agents do you estimate the Midtown office dissociated or lost?
That's okay. So let's go to numbers. We opened in 2011,
right,
with 12 people, and then since then we grew up to 900, approximately, between two offices.
Okay.
And now we're just short of 700.
Between the two offices?
Between the two offices. So the majority was Midtown, obviously. Mm-hmm. And I think we grow so fast, and this is something that we did some mistakes in and there. And every time we're going back to the model, we're growing, we make it, we're profitable.
So let's just talk about the Keller Williams model for a minute, because it's very different from other brokerages. So correct me if I'm wrong, but Keller Williams, your model is that you give the agents more of the commission. You cap their contribution to the company at a certain amount, and then they keep more commission. But it's also, from the company standpoint, it's a volume game, right? More agents means more revenue.
Right.
So starting in 2015, Keller Williams, at least in Midtown in New York City, you hired a lot of agents, and that seemed to be a strategy that gave you really big numbers. But that ultimately,
at the beginning, when we came in, we need to be relevant, to the market. So we start very small, and we had to go big as fast as we can. Now, during this, growth, we learn about some other stuff, and obviously, but the model is the agents come. It's a platform. So if I compare it to basically every other company in the city, they selling their name, their reputation, their logo. We are selling a platform, so the agents will put his logo, his name, and will give us a piece of the profit of the commission, and keep most of it to himself. So when we open, I felt that we need the market in general, the brokerage world, would be disrupted by agents that weren't willing to pay you or pay the owners 50%, 40%. And I believe that if you're paying amount of money, like we're charging them 70-30 up to 65,000, then they become 100% for the rest of the anniversary year. Mm-hmm. So when you have a platform like that, that's a disruptive to the market.
It's interesting that you bring that up because the brokerage community, the industry is changing so much, and I'm curious. You mentioned that you grew really fast. There were some mistakes. Did you stick closely to the Keller Williams model, or to break into New York? Did you do things a little bit differently? And how do you think that panned out? Did it end up being a mistake?
As long as you stick to the system and model, you're going to be successful. It's proven all over the world, over the country. We opened, a year ago in Israel. There is 10 offices there. So there is a lot of things that we did here in the city to change it a little bit. Like, we need different vendors because there is no MLS. We need to have some kind of marketing language, something that we have to tweak. But the majority which is the foundation of every agent, how to build his business, how to lead generate, what are you doing when you get, to X amount of GCI, how are you getting from there?
So what happened when you reached 900 agents? Was it too big?
The goal is to be the largest, so there is no,
okay.
But you still want it with quality than quantity. So this is what we're doing now. The restructure is to still have quality agents, producing agents, people who wants to build a career and be in business for the next, decade or so.
So the agents that left or that you purged from the books,
that's people that's coming, yeah. And there is company that will park their license, which is okay. Mm-hmm. But that's company for that. But we believe that we have enough tools for people who wants to really make it in this business.
So what do you think is a good number for Midtown and Tribeca to be at?
Agents count? So there is no, I think the average in the country is about 200. That's the average, I think in the city, it's based on your profit. If you're profitable, if you have a good amount of quality agents, in the office. So it's about, you want to be somewhere in the 30% very high producers, another 30% of mid producers, and then the last 30-40% you want the new and people who's growing into the next wave. That's the healthy ways of building. I don't think we need to go into numbers because it really depends. Our vision is to go to another 5-6 offices. So if it's going to be each one of them 300 or 500, but it's really based on the quality you have of the people. Rather
than 5 offices in New York City?
Yeah.
Okay. What's the timeline for that?
We're thinking in the next, 5 years. Mm-hmm. That's in order to win it, you really need to make sure that you understand and master the way of opening, those offices, implement those models. And I think we're doing a very good job so far. And the biggest disruptive right now, beside the commission, it will be the next wave, will be the data. Mm-hmm. And whatever I'm telling you right now, some people will get it, and some people will get it probably in few years. Mm-hmm. The database that's each agent owns, it belongs to him. And most of the agents, the company that's a public company or VC, owns, they doing it for your data, for your information. That's the reason they're investing in these companies. Mm-hmm. So this is something that's with people, when you get it, you're saying that the number one thing that we have in the city, we don't have MLS. Mm-hmm. So the data belong to us, mm-hmm. not to the MLS. So that's one thing. Now to go in and work with a company that eventually will take this data and share it with other companies and information without you, that's something that's when people realize that they won't be associated with those companies.
Speaking of data, the residential brokerage world's been so upended by, different companies coming in, StreetEasy controlling data, companies like Compass saying they have access to better tools to leverage that data. Do you think that Keller Williams has been impacted?
Well, all the competition that sits out there, they're trying to take a piece of the pie. They're coming in with different stories, each one of them, mm-hmm. and they want to take a piece of the commission. So maybe the commission will go from 6 to 5 and maybe eventually to 4, but whoever's going to hurt will be the big, companies, because if there is less commission, there is less profit for them. For us, we're capping. We already have a model that's ready for a market that even if will be with less commission. So that's what we have. We have after you gave us a amount of money, that's it. You're 100%. So when a big agent, for an example, leave us for let's say $1 million producer, just left us, so we lost 65,000.
So you're sort of insulated from all that in a way.
In a way, you still need to have performance, producing agent. You still need to be out there, but that's the loss for us as a company, as a business. For other firms, $1 million producer, that's sitting on their books, and that impact them heavily.
Back in April, when Town Residential folded, CEO Andrew Heiberger said, brokerage it's not possible to sustain these profits in this industry. There's so much competition for agents and pressure to pay high commissions. Do you agree with that?
I have a lot of respect for Andrew, but you need to see that what they build in other companies, they're building more of the same. It's centric on their logo, their name, and they're providing the agents whatever they want to buy at the time. What we're doing in a different way is saying we will teach you, coach you, train you to build your own business to a level that you can probably put a CEO and stand on the side and still have a running business. I'm making, last year as a team, almost what we made in the other company that I was in the time, and I don't need to share so much.
As someone who's been in the industry so long, when you saw what happened to Town, what did you think? Did you worry that it would have a ripple effect, even if you have a different model? Just curious what you're thinking.
Yeah, it's not fun to see someone, going, obviously there was nothing, I was, worried for the agents, obviously, that they confused, but in general, it's not something that's none of us, so that it will be, and I believe that we will see more of it in the future. Because there is no way to go in and promise, big salaries, big cost of rent, and all of a sudden, not profit for many years, and then, be in business. There is a limit for it. Unless you're raising capital constantly, there is a day that's, you can stop because you're bleeding for many years. Right. So I think the story that was about, let me be a brokerage, and the story needs to be about the agents rather than the brokers and the owners. So I think the whole system needs to change.
So for Keller Williams, on the one hand, you're describing plans to have 4 or 5 offices in the city. What are your plans for the Midtown office? How committed are you to keeping that space, part of that space? Would you consider sharing space with Tribeca?
The changes we're doing in Midtown, it's a necessary changes, and we're sitting on a 30,000 square feet. That's a trend showing you that's you going into a smaller offices. So we're following the trend. The trend right now in the next few years, it will be smaller offices for many, for a lot of agents, because everything it's the cell phone. Everything is digital, so you can work from any place. Yeah.
So what are you thinking for the Midtown space?
I think
sublease it.
So what we're doing right now, we subletting few part of the office right now to some vendors that we're working with, so they have a room on the floors. So it's a win-win for the agents and for us. So it doesn't cost us on the books so much. But in the end of the day, they're winning also by getting the front of the agents. So that's what we're doing.
So the Keller Williams model you're describing is so different from traditional brokerage in terms of the training, the commission, just the overall structure, the profit sharing, which we haven't really talked about too much. But I'm curious how your overhead and your fixed costs compare to traditional brokerage.
Obviously, we're keeping ourselves very lean. We're watching our numbers every month. So when you're closing the books every month, it's allowed you to watch it and very carefully. Now, is it different? Yeah, we're not paying a huge salary. We allow the leaderships to be part of the profit. So we're sharing profit with them as the company is growing, rather than have very heavy, salaries.
But still, you found yourself in a position a few months ago where you had to cut costs, right?
Absolutely.
And was there a certain amount that you said, okay, we need to save $500,000 or?
I think it's just as a business decision. When you have a lot of costs, you're looking into it, and then you're renegotiating. So when the market is great, everybody's making money, even your vendors making money. But when you look into, when the market shifts and you're looking at, you realize that all of a sudden that you paid so much to specific vendors, you're not cutting the services, but you allowed yourself to negotiate with them because that's the reality, and they want to be in business with you. So things that any business owner will do.
So as the market shifts, are you looking to hire and recruit, retain a different profile of agent? Maybe not someone who's, maybe it's not like their very first job, but maybe someone who is more successful at producing and closing deals? Or tell us a little bit about like who you're targeting for hiring.
The perfect agent will be someone who really wants to commit to grow his business. So ideally is doing it for a few years. So we have agents that's coming from rentals, and we change them to as a selling producer agents. So now they're doing sales, they're making more money, they're building groups. And then we have the agents that have already a great business and they stuck. They don't know who to hire. They have a revolving doors in their staff. They need to coach by that. They want to take the business from X amount to maybe to go to luxury now. Maybe they want to do better farming. Maybe they want to do better referrals. If you're doing the work, you will get the business. So that's what we are there to train and recruit the agent that's willing to do it and open for it, to be coachable.
Do you target a certain segment of the market though? So your team does a lot of luxury, but do you think that in general, like the Keller Williams agents in New York are doing more bread and butter, maybe not like the sexy penthouse, but just like churning out deals?
In New York, we're doing a lot of luxury as well. But you probably talking about the new development. And when you see a massive luxury apartment from a new development, there is some company that's very heavily on it and stronger than us, no question about that.
Can you see a time when Keller Williams NYC jumps into the new development game in a very heavy way?
I think the way to break it out is we're in a three race, tracks. One is the brokerage, second one is technology, and the third one is the new development. So I think in the brokerage, there is no way someone even close to us, it's take time, but we are we have the best model, the best training, coaching. We go in there, it's just a matter of time, and it's proving also already in the last 7 years. The track is, the chart is like that. And the technology, Gary Keller spending millions of dollars, tens of millions of dollars into technology to implement the data sharing, which this is what people's going after.
So that like your agents will be able to access data across the company.
Absolutely, and then sharing it, with some people. Think about it, that you have someone in your database that owns other properties in different places in the country. Now, if you be able to take a referring him to an agency in Miami because he owns in Miami, because we take the information we're sharing with you, and now you know it. When you know that he owns something in Florida, now you build a relationship to a level that you want to be the family broker for him, that you will be able to do all his business, not just New York. So so technology, it's taking time. The new development. If you're going right now to go and fight with them, I think it will be a big battle. So we can do it, slowly. What we're doing, we allow the agents to get into the platform, so they have the relationship with the developer. You don't need to share when you bring new development. You don't need to share some of the commission to the development group you have in whatever company you are with. Sure, it's all yours. It's your business. You pay some of it, but that's it. We're creating our own group inside the business. What we can do is it can create maybe tools to help the agents to have more exposure for this developer.
Okay, so one last question. This month, the cover of The Real Deal was titled "The Death of the Brokerage," and the story examined all of the different challenges facing the industry and raised the question, will brokerages continue to exist? So I just want to end and ask you that question. Do you think that brokerages will continue to exist 10, 20 years from now?
I think definitely. I think it will be different. I think maybe less commission. I think you're going to do business differently. A lot of the business will be digital, connecting the buyers, closing the deals, moving the money. Probably eventually will be with the smart contracts, and a blockchain. I see this coming in the future. Probably less brokers. So the brokers that's, don't plug in and really wants to make it a career won't survive. But I still see people need this person that is a consulting, is holding his hand, doing the homework for them, and helping them to, because this is a life-changing event, for those people, and probably the biggest when they're buying or selling. So you still will need someone to rely on. It's just the process will be different, and there will be more players coming in to take a piece of the pie. So that's what I see.
Thank you so much. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you for having me.